Welcome to another edition of AP and DP, ACC SEC. Hi, I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. My co-host, DP, Doug Parrish, University of California, former defensive back extraordinaire. Hey, DP.
Hey, AP, it's week 5. Man, the season is flying by.
That's what happens. People always ask me, can you wait for the college football season? I say yes, because you're wishing your life away. It goes so fast. It flies, as you stated.
Wow.
But it was an interesting week, as always. So I guess we should get right to the ball games, Doug. And in the SEC, there's 8 ball games, 5 within the conference. And there's some good matchups, top-level matchups, matter of fact. So we're going to start. And then we also have the byes. Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas with a bye. One thing to report on Oklahoma, Doug, their quarterback, John Mateer, the transfer from Washington State, who came down with his offensive coordinator, Arbuckle, he broke his hand. Wow. So supposedly out maybe a month. We'll see what happens. But Michael Hawkins Jr. will replace him. He was a freshman last year from Dallas, played extensively. He's more of a dual threat quarterback. But one thing in Oklahoma's favor this year, Doug, last year about a half a dozen receivers were not on the team for various reasons. Injury, left the team, all kind of things happened. But maybe he can be more productive with this unit of receivers that are presently on the 2025 team, whereas last year they were absent for various reasons, as I stated. But anyway, we'll start with the first game, Doug, and we're looking at Auburn coming off a 24-17 loss on the road to Oklahoma. Played good defensively, offensively, Doug. They could not block a fence post, okay? 10 sacks, and one of them led to the safety near the end of the game, which was the final margin, the 24-17. And so they lost to Oklahoma on the road. They're going to be flying to College Station, Texas, to take on the Texas A&M University Aggies, ranked number 10 in the Football Writers Association National Football Foundation Super 16 poll. A&M is about a 6.5-point favorite. They're 3-0. They had a bye. Auburn scoring about 32 points a game, giving up 16. Texas A&M 42 points a game. That includes that big win on the road against Notre Dame where they scored 40+, and they're surrendering 28 points a game. So offensively, A&M likes to throw the ball over 300 yards per game. Auburn likes to run the ball primarily. It's kind of split 198, 185 between the pass and the run. So we'll see what happens. But on the road, I think that Auburn's going to have another tough time. The turnover margin, they're a 0.75 in Auburn's favor. Their quarterback at A&M, Marcel Reed, 59%, not a high percentage, but he's playing pretty well. 9 TDs, only 1 interception. Jackson Arnold for Auburn, the Oklahoma transfer, 69%, 5 TDs, no interceptions at this point, but it's going to be a tough road game for Auburn. We'll see what happens, but A&M playing at home with that crowd, their boisterous 100,000 plus, Doug. So, yes. Game, Doug, this is the game I'll be covering in Starkville, Mississippi. The number 15 rated Tennessee Volunteers will travel to Stark Vegas to play Mississippi State. Mississippi State, Doug, 4-0. There's been a revival of that program because of the defense. I asked Coach Levy this week, Jeff Levy, why the defense improved so much. He said because of the roster, which means the NIL and the transfer portal combined, plus more knowledge. This is the second year they're in the system. So consequently, they're playing better. Now, it makes a difference, right? As you know. Tennessee, Doug, 53 points a game. Joey Aguilar has been sensational in that offense. We projected that in the preseason. Remember, we were discussing the new quarterback, Joey Aguilar at Appalachian State, UCLA for 5 minutes. He's throwing at 67%, 12 TDs, 3 interceptions. Mississippi State, good quarterback transfer from Baylor, Blake Shapen, played last year a few games, was injured. That's why their team really suffered, because they needed the offense to really pick up because the defense was non-existent almost. But Blake Shapen playing well, 7 TDs, a couple interceptions, 67% himself. They're allowing 12 points a game. The competition hasn't been strong, but they did beat Arizona State at home in Starkville. Remember, Arizona State was a playoff team last year with Sam Levitt and company. Good coaching staff, Kenny Dillingham and everything. So Mississippi State, balanced offense, 200 yards rushing, 200-plus yards passing. Defensively, only 265 yards per game. Tennessee 554 yards a game now. So, Doug, this is a huge challenge. But I don't know. I just have this feeling Tennessee's a 10-point favorite. I just think it would be closer than the 10 points. And when you say closer than 10 points, anything could happen in the last quarter. If you make a drive or interception, punt return, fumble, kickoff, I mean, all types of things. So I'm really interested to cover this game in Starkville, Doug.
That should be a fantastic.
I hope so.
Yeah. So on the ACC side, AP, I have Boston College versus Cal Berkeley. It's going to be a Saturday afternoon game. They're going to be playing at Chestnut Hill, at Boston College. So definitely it's an ACC matchup. So it's critical that, they both play their best. Both of them are, coming off of some significant losses. Boston College needs a spark, because they're 1-2. So he's going to be leaning heavily on his quarterback, Lonergan. Hey, he's shown some flashes. And then, they have a pretty solid running back, Richards, who gives them that balance. And on the wide receiver side, they have Bond. He can go out and get the ball and catch it up high. And on defense, Boston College has this guy, McGowan. He has a sack already this year, and K. Price leads the team with 20 tackles. So the defense is okay. They're shaping up. On the other side, Cal, as we talked about, they're coming off of a loss that a lot of people probably didn't see coming against San Diego State. They got beat 34-0, zero shutout. We talked about that. It's impossible to get shut out in this day and age. But Cal has to do that. But they are still 3-1, which looks on paper, it looks pretty good. I don't think their team showed up last week based on the talent that they have, particularly with JKS, their quarterback, who's the phenomenal true freshman quarterback that's been ACC Player of the Week over week over week. And then they got the ground game with Raphael. He brings some significant production on the ground game. Brazil, he's a reliable big target catching the ball. And defensively, the captain of the team, Cade Uliave, he's been just a force to be reckoned with, and he's piled up already 34 tackles. You got another inside linebacker, Bush Jr. He's got a couple of sacks. And then don't forget about number 5, Hezekiah Masses. He's a ball hawk. He loves to get – he's breaking passes up, PBUs, and he's got 3 interceptions. I think already. Already he's leading the conference in interceptions, and I think he's tied for first in the country. So definitely don't sleep on those guys, and particularly their wide receiver / punt returner, De Jesus. That guy is exciting, and if he can get the ball and get a crease, he's gone. He's cutting and going. So Boston College is going to need to clean up and protect their home field. They're going to be loud. They're going to be rowdy. But Cal's defense, they travel well. They travel on the road. They're gonna have the edge because that true freshman quarterback and then a good solid defense should give them the edge. So, and that's going to be on the road in the ACC game. The next game I have is another ACC showdown. It's going to be on the ACC network. It's 3-1. Fran Brown's going to have his Syracuse team ready to play against in Durham against Duke. Duke's 2-2, okay? And Syracuse has been lighting it up on offense, man. They got 473 yards a game, and most of it's through the air. Steve Angeli, he has been sharp. He's been throwing, he's got over 1,300 yards, in the air, and he's got 10 touchdowns, only 2 picks. So he's got help too with Yassine Willis, who's been pounding the ball on the run, and he's got Daryl Gillis, who's been stretching the defense on the outside. Yeah. Now the Orangemen, they have almost 39 points a game, but the defense is questionable, right? That's where things get a little bit shaky. Now they're near the bottom nationally in every category, but they got to shape that up and get a little bit more sharp in that category. But Duke is built pretty similar to Syracuse. They're moving the ball well. They're getting a lot of, yards in the air with the passing game with Darian Mansaw. He's already at 1,300 yards, and he's got 11 touchdowns as well. So it's kind of interesting to see Cooper Burkhardt. He's become his big, consistent target. And so, but just like Syracuse, the Blue Devils, they're struggling defensively, especially on third down. And more importantly, AP, on these penalties, that's where both of these teams are having some issues. So if they can clean that up, I think they're getting 70 yards per game in flags.
That's a lot of penalties. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Big
both
numbers.
teams are coming off solid wins. Syracuse beat Clemson, as you know, and then Duke beat North Carolina State. And this one feels like it could be a really good shootout between these two quarterbacks, man. So
Doug, that quarterback for Syracuse, Angeli, was injured, so they had to bring in the replacement. He's a transfer from LSU. But they still won. I can't remember what part of the game he was injured, but they still won on the road against Clemson. So Syracuse moving forward will have this new quarterback who they battled out, Angeli from Notre Dame, and the quarterback from LSU. They battled it out, and Angeli won his position. But now that he's hurt, so the second string quarterback for Syracuse. Yeah. I think in that system, as you mentioned, it seems like it's quarterback friendly.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that he'll probably continue to do some good things, even though Angeli's out now.
Yeah. Those are my two, buddy.
Okay. Well, back to the SEC. Notre Dame, Doug, and Arkansas have never played. Those two institutions never played in a bowl game. It came close, Doug. Matter of fact, the first time was 1969 when Texas went to Fayetteville and beat Arkansas 15-14. Those two teams were number 1 and number 2, and Texas ended up beating Notre Dame, who had not played in a bowl in about 50 years, and they played in the Cotton Bowl January 1st, 1970 to win the national championship. But anyway, Notre Dame 1-2. They're coming off the victory over Purdue, 56-23. First time meeting in this series. Arkansas 2-2, 0-1 in the conference. Lost to Ole Miss a couple weeks ago. Doug, they were on their way to winning the game against Memphis. 18-point lead. They surrendered the entire lead. They were down by 1 point, making the drive, fumbled on the 5-yard line or so, could have kicked the field goal, scored the touchdown. But that's not the worst of it. I mean, that's pretty bad in and of itself. But they had a chance to stop Memphis on the third down play, 3rd and 5 to 7 yards. They brought in the second string quarterback. He carried half the team on his back and got the third down. So there was no chance for Arkansas to force them to maybe a short punt. They would have had to move the ball maybe 20, 30 yards in the last, let's say 40 seconds, 50 seconds. Could have kicked the field goal, but they gave up the first down. So it's bad enough when you fumbled on the 5 or 6 yard line, but yet your defense, they're going to run the football probably 90%, let's say. They're going to run the ball. Yeah. You have the person within your grasp. You have him, you're holding on to him, wrapping him up, and he's carrying you 5 or 6 yards for the first down. It was very difficult to watch that at the end because Memphis, they just snatched the victory from Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
On defense and offensively.
Yeah.
So Arkansas didn't have that enough fight at the end. So anyway, Arkansas scoring 43 points a game. That Taylor Green, he is very good, Doug. 12 TDs, 4 interceptions. He's long-legged. 64% of his throws he completes. He rushed for already 360 yards, Doug, in 4 games. So 8 yards a carry. I think he has a chance to have a big game against Notre Dame's defense. Doug, Notre Dame surrendering 32 points per game, 117th nationally. There's only 130 plus teams. So Marcus Freeman is the head coach. He's a defensive coordinator in his past, former Ohio State linebacker. They are struggling, scoring 40 points on offense, but defensively, and they're minus 0.33 in the turnover margin. So Notre Dame is a slight favorite. I say slight 4 or 5 points, but I just think Arkansas They would have the 2 losses now, Doug, and the seat is very hot.
Woo.
But if you can beat Notre Dame at home, a national brand, first time meeting, maybe it can ignite that team to have a better season.
That's right.
Give them some confidence because they blew it last. They should be 3-1, easily be 3-1. Looking to beat Notre Dame, going to 4-1, but they're 2-2, looking for that third victory. Next game, Doug, Kentucky versus South Carolina. That series is in favor of South Carolina. 21 wins to 14 losses, 1 tie. Kentucky had a bye. They're 2-1, 0-1 in the conference. South Carolina, second straight loss, 2-2, lost on the road to Missouri, 29-20. That's the 2 Columbias, though. Columbia, South Carolina, Columbia, Missouri, Como out there, they call it. And so they're 0-2 in the conference. Kentucky, 31 points per game, but their offense, it's kind of suspect because the competition was not very good. They did score 23 against Ole Miss, though. South Carolina, just 22 points a game. Offensively, just 300 yards, Doug.
Yeah.
So they're struggling on that side. They're surrendering 20 points, South Carolina. Kentucky's surrendering 23. Kentucky's going to start the young quarterback. I say young, second year. Cutter Bowley, he threw 24 passes so far, completed 13 for 2 TDs, only 54%. Lenora Sellers, 4 TDs, 1 interception, 63%. We know he has very good talent, but he needs to really carry him on his back.
Yeah.
So I think South Carolina, about a 6-point favorite with 2 losses already in the conference, looking at the third one against Kentucky. I think they'll probably find a way to win the game, Doug, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Interesting week 5 matchups. Guess who's next, AP? Number 8, Florida State.
Florida State.
Number 8, though. I remember last year.
Oh, my goodness.
People were freaking out.
That was the worst ever decline in 1 year I think I've ever seen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, historic. So, yeah, under the lights in Charlottesville, man. Hey, you got number 8, Florida State, rolls in, undefeated to face 3-1 Virginia. Now, 3-1 now. Watch out. That team, they won 2 straight. You know, the kickoff's going to be a late night game, 7 p.m., and they're coming off a 66-10 beatdown of Kent State. Now, maybe that's not saying much based on the name, but piling up 600 yards a game, AP, and nearly 60 points per contest. Something magical is happening in Tallahassee right now. Quarterback Tommy Castellanos has been steady, and the rushing attack is top 5 in the country, AP. Deuce Robinson has emerged as the go-to receiver for them. Now, Virginia, they just hammered Stanford, all right, 48-20. Quarterback Chandler Morris already has 1,000+ yards passing.
He's hot.
Yeah, and running back Jamari Taylor gives them balance on, and the defense is playing okay, led by linebacker Cam Robinson. He's been forcing some big turnovers when they need them. I mean, he's been all over the field. So, but history leans towards Florida State, AP. They lead the series 15-4. But remember, like we said, they were 0-4 on the road last year in the ACC. And that makes it a real test for them.
Right.
But the bottom line is that this game has 2 explosive offenses and 2 hot teams. And this one's going to come down to Virginia's defense trying to put a blanket on Florida State's offense, which should be very interesting. A lot of fireworks going to be going off in Charlottesville.
Yeah, that sounds like a good matchup. Yeah,
it's going to be a good one. Yeah, absolutely. Georgia Tech actually heads to Winston-Salem for an ACC showdown with Wake Forest, AP. So we got some interconference competition going on here. The Yellow Jackets are flying high at 4-0, 1-0 in conference play, and ranked in the top 25 for the first time back-to-back weeks since 2015, AP. This is their best start since 2014. And then last week, against Temple, Tech averaged a jaw-dropping 9.8 yards per play. That's pretty darn good. You know, every time you touch the ball, you're getting approximately 10 yards. The sixth highest mark in school history, and they own the series 24-8. So it's going to be interesting. Quarterback Haynes King has thrown for 515 yards already, and the running back Jamal Haynes leads on the ground with 290 yards. They got a big play receiver, Eric Kenyon. He has hauled in 167 yards through the air, AP. And on defense, they have a lineman, Zeke Jones. Zeke Stone. Stone is his last name. Has 2 sacks, while linebacker Effort leads the team with 20 tackles. So we got weight counters trying to counter everything with Robbie Ashford, who has about 700 yards passing. And then they have a pretty decent running back in Damon Claiborne as well. And Jamal Barnes, they both have about 250 or so yards each. But on defense, they have a defensive back who leads the team with 23 tackles. And they have this Hardy. He has a linebacker. He has 2.5 sacks. And he's up front, you know, just getting in there and pressuring the quarterback. But both teams they pretty much have some balance, but the Tech has more explosive efficiency, and then Wake Forest with the quarterback who can sling it down the field. You know, he can make things happen, AP. Saturday night they're going to be looking to stay perfect, but the Demon Deacons are aiming to protect their home turf. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, Robbie Ashford, Doug, just a side note, I saw him play when he was a junior in high school. Of course, he was from Hoover High School near Birmingham. He ended up committing to Oregon, was up there for a while, transferred, played at Auburn, and was over at, I think, South Carolina, now Wake Forest, his 4th team. But wow. I remember Robbie as a junior, his wideout that he threw to was a year ahead of him was George Pickens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in the game that I saw, he was going against Bo Nix, and they think they beat him maybe 52-14. Robbie Hoover beat Pinson Valley at that time, I think 52-14, 52-20, or something along those lines. So I was familiar with Robbie, so I'm glad he found the spot where he can showcase his talents. And
sure,
you know, he's been around the world playing football. But anyhow, Doug, we're looking at one of the bigger games in the country. This next one on tap. Alabama, number 16 versus number 2, Georgia. Georgia's about a 4-point favorite. This series is in favor of Alabama, 44 wins to 26 losses, 4 ties. Alabama had a bye. They're 2-1, 0-0 in the conference. Georgia, of course, is 3-0 with a big win on the road to Knoxville. They had a bye last week as well. So both teams are rested up, have time to decipher each other's schemes. Sure. So there's no excuses. Look, this particular game, you look at the quarterbacks, both 70% completion. I know it's a small sample, 3 or 4 games by both teams, but both quarterbacks have been so accurate. Maybe not for Ty Simpson in the first game. He had quite a few drops and miscues, but he's come on now these last couple ball games and throwing extremely well and finding the receivers, grasping the offense, and the receivers are playing much better for Alabama. But Georgia's a balanced team, 470 yards, 200-plus yards rushing, 260 or so yards passing. Alabama, Doug, 335 yards passing, 123 on the ground. This is their Achilles heel at the moment, I think, running the ball, Doug. When you're trying to make those tough yards near the goal line, you move the ball up and down the field, you get to that 20-yard line in the red zone. If you can't score and you're kicking field goals, that is the difference in the big games, in the contested games. So Jam Miller's supposed to be coming back, the running back for Alabama, but I'm not sure it's the running backs, it's the offensive line, Doug, that needs to play well. I mean, he's a nice running back, but I don't think he's an All-American, but he is a good player for them. You welcome his return, but it's the offensive line. Alabama's giving up 15 points a game, scoring 42. Georgia scoring 39, giving up 18. The turnover margin, Doug, Alabama, number 1 in the country, 2 plus at this point. Not it's only 3 games, but 2 plus. Georgia's a minus 0.33. So, Doug, it's a duel between these quarterbacks, and could Alabama's defense, I think, stop Georgia from running? Because if they're making yards through the run, we know you're keeping the other team's offense that is hot now with Ty Simpson on the sideline.
That's right.
So Alabama's defensive line, I think that's where you're going to watch to see if Alabama's going to be in the ball game, because they can't stop them from running. They're moving the ball, and then they're scoring at the end of those long drives. That's less possessions for a hot quarterback, Ty Simpson of Alabama. Should be a good ball game. I think Georgia at home probably wins the game, Doug. I'm thinking, but like I say, it's close.
Well,
it's
you
close.
know, Kirby Smart, he likes to run the ball. That's his forte, and as you know, that's what he likes to do. So, Alabama. So it's interesting. Sometimes these coaches they have predictors, but you still got to stop them. If you like to throw the ball, you like to run the ball, you still got to stop me. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to run the ball 10 times. Stop.
Right. Stop them. So can Alabama's defensive line be up to the challenge? I don't know. So the next game, another SEC game, LSU, number 4 in the country, 4-0, 1-0 in the conference, taking on number 12, Ole Miss in Oxford. Ole Miss is, believe it or not, a 2.5-point favorite, Doug. LSU coming off a 56-10 win over Southeast Louisiana. Ole Miss with I believe in an impressive victory over Tulane, a good football program with a good coach. 45-10 wasn't a contest. LSU leads this series, 64 wins, 42 losses, 4 ties. You know, they've been playing many, many years.
Sure.
LSU scoring 29 points a game. Ole Miss scoring 44 points a game, 543 yards on offense. LSU 393 on offense. LSU once again a team that wants to run. They're having trouble. 116 yards a game, though. They throw for 275 a game, but Ole Miss throws for 324, runs for 200 plus yards a game, right? The defense for LSU has led the team, only surrendering 246 yards, 9 points a game, 64 yards rushing, Doug. They're shutting people down, 182 passing. Defense for Ole Miss, they give up 190 yards rushing, but LSU is not good on the ground. So I don't know what that means in this game, Doug. They're surrendering 18 points a game, 356 yards. Garrett Nussmeier, 6 TDs, 2 interceptions. I thought by this point he'd have many more touchdowns, Doug, to be honest. He's completing 68% of his passes. Doug, the quarterback for Ole Miss, this is very interesting. Before the season, I was looking and reading about Trinidad Chambliss. Division II transfer from Ferris State, the national championship team out of Michigan, to Ole Miss. You're thinking Lane Kiffin, all these quarterbacks that around the country, he finds somebody from Division II, brings him on campus. Doug, in 2 games, he's had over 800 yards plus in 2 games, 400 plus yards a game between the running and the passing. He threw for almost 3,000 last year, I believe, 1,000 yards on the ground. He intrigued me. He's coming in right into this league, and so far beat Arkansas and ate up Tulane as well. So 68%, 195 yards rushing, 5.4 yards per carry, 4 TDs, no interceptions, 2 TDs on the ground. So he's going to be tough to stop, the dual threat quarterback. But LSU, the defense has led that team, Doug. So we'll see what happens.
I really love that story. That's a great story.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, just coming from Division II and getting an opportunity to showcase your talents. Great coach, too. So I got Louisville versus Pitt coming up here, AP. Pitt is another ACC showdown, both sitting at 2-1. This one's going to be the making of the quarterback duel. So it's going to be 2 quarterbacks going at it. Louisville's Moss has thrown for approximately 700 yards, and Pitt's Austin has about 820 yards. Both guys can sling the rock. And on the ground, Louisville leans to Brown, who has about 250 yards, where Pitt's got Reed. Reed has about 150 yards, but he's a durable back, and he can get in there and make some tough yards. Now, on the receiver side, Louisville, Bell, he is one of their big play machines. He has 13 catches for almost 500 yards and a touchdown. And then on the flip side, Pitt has he's countering that with Williams, who has 250 yards, and he's a steady go-to for Holston. On the defense, yes, the defense matters. Louisville, my old friend Ron English, has Louisville bringing pressure, so they have 3.5 sacks from their defensive line, and Lubin already has 19 tackles. Pitt's got Lewis, who has 2 sacks, and Bio is leading the way. He's a linebacker, and he has 29 stops. So two good teams, 2 good quarterbacks. The ACC, this is for the bragging rights. This one's going to be tight. It's going to be physical, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good game.
Oh, yeah. Doug, can you just double check on that receiver? You said 13 catches, 500 yards. Was it 31 catches, 500 yards? Or because that set an all-time record, 13 catches, 500 yards.
Yeah, it says he's got 13 catches. He's got 13 catches, and I believe 497 yards. But,
I mean, I never heard of such a stat. But anyway, okay. All right.
I'll double check it. We may have to do a cleanup at the end. We get our producer to check that stat.
Yeah, check that stat. You gotta keep. They have to keep their eye on us, Doug.
Yeah, I definitely. That's a good one. All right, so moving on to my second one is Virginia Tech versus North Carolina State. Virginia Tech heads into Raleigh Saturday, AP. It's a night game, and they taking on NC State. Another ACC showdown. The Hokies are 1-3 under Brent Pry and desperate for a spark, while the Dave Doran's Wolfpack sits at 3-1 and 1-1 in the ACC. So quarterbacks are the headlines here again. Kyron Drones has thrown for 928 yards for Virginia Tech, while North Carolina State's Bailey has thrown more than 1,000 yards. Drones will look to Green, who's got 10 grabs for 2 touchdowns already. Bailey go-to is Anderson. So he has 15 catches already with 2 scores, 2 TDs on the season. And on defense, AP, I'm looking at their defense, and the Tech leans on their lineman, Gilliam Jr., and he's got 2 sacks. And linebacker Woodson, he has 24 tackles. North Carolina State is going to answer that, or try to answer that, with Big Price up front and Brown, who have racked up 39 tackles already. Bottom line is the Hokies are hunting for momentum. The Wolfpacks are trying to stay on track. Expect a quarterback duel and defense that can swing this game with one big play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Virginia Tech has the interim coach. They released their coach. He had the disastrous old men. So Virginia Tech with an interim coach. Let's see what they do. I think they won the first one, but let's see what they do nighttime in Raleigh. I don't know, but Doug, we got the last 2 games here in the SEC. They're really, I call them exhibitions, because Missouri's playing UMass. UMass is an independent team. There's only 3 independent teams in America. I think it's Notre Dame, University of Connecticut, and University of Massachusetts, I believe, Doug. So they're a 42.5 point favorite. They had a big game against South Carolina. They won at home 29-20. They're 4-1 in the conference. UMass is 0-3. They only score 14 points a game. They surrender 38 points a game. So Missouri, a lot of the reserves will have a chance this weekend. Just want to mention Bo Prepula, the quarterback, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions, 72%, 900+ yards. He ran for 148 so far this season, 3 touchdowns. He's been a good addition to transfer from Penn State. And right now they're scoring 46 points a game, surrendering only 16. So Mizzou should reach the 5-0 level already, 5-0, and continuing the conference with the future games. The game is Vandy hosting Utah State. This is the first time those schools are meeting. I think that's Bronco Mendenhall, which is one of the Vanderbilt's head coach. That's his mentor, Clark Lee. So Bronco Mendenhall, you can remember him from the days when he coached. I guess he coached BYU. I thought that he went to Virginia. I think Utah State now. But anyway, they beat McNeese State 48-7. They're 3-1, 1-0 in their conference. Vandy 4-0, 1-0 in the conference. They demolished Georgia State 70-21. They left no doubt. Last year, Georgia State upset them in Atlanta. They got them this time in Nashville. They let them know we're the better team. We're the better program. Vandy, 47 points a game. Diego Pavia, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions, 74%. He has 890 yards throwing the ball, 215 yards rushing, 1 TD. So Vanderbilt allowing just 12 points a game, scoring 47. So Vanderbilt's going to be 5-0, just like we said. Missouri's going to be 5-0. So that's exciting for the Commodores. They have to face Alabama the following week, and we know what happened last year when Alabama came to Nashville. So they have to travel to Tuscaloosa. But I'm just telling you, Vanderbilt is a good football team.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, 21-point favorite, so they'll cover it. I mean, they should cover, but we shall say they should win the game. It would be a very bad loss at this point because looking to go 5-0 one game away from being bowl eligible. But that's what we have, Doug, for the SEC. All the games, 8 games.
All right, I have one more, and that's Stanford versus San Jose State. Stanford is 1-3, 1-1 in the ACC after a tough loss, AP, to Virginia. And the Cardinals are looking for redemption this week against San Jose State, which I'm pretty sure they should have some good competition among the San Jose State Spartans. One of the things that I have to emphasize is that Stanford needs to definitely, and most teams, this is for all teams, they can't overlook like these state schools, San Jose State, San Diego State. You saw what happened to Cal last year. So, CJ Williams, he's got over 100 yards. So I think that him and the other, he was a transfer from Wisconsin. So they went into the transfer portal and got some good receivers that can put up some good yards. San Jose State, they're 1-3 overall as well, but a win in Stanford would be momentous for them. Their quarterback has racked up over 1,000 yards through the air, showcasing that he can stretch the field and that it'll be a test for him to go up against Stanford. Stanford has struggled here and there, but it'll be a good test. But it's a Bay Area rivalry, right? Both Bay Area teams, they're
right there. Yeah.
Right there. They're desperate for momentum, but Stanford's fighting and clawing, with Frank and his, his coaching style
Frank Wright.
Yeah, Frank Wright. And San Jose State is just chasing, a statement win to prove that they belong. So I do want to just share that Clemson has a bye this week. Miami has a bye. And North Carolina and SMU both have byes. So that wraps up the coverage for the ACC on my end, buddy. So.
Okay, Doug. Yeah, that's it for the AP and DP, ACC, SEC, SEC, ACC coverage. And we'll see you next week with another edition of AP and DP. Take care now. KDP.
Thank you, sir. Take care.